For geometry students, this is a short lesson on rotations, reflections, and translations. This is a standard for geometry students in 8th, 9th, and 10th grade, in which they will be given a geometric figure and must perform either a rotation, reflection, translation, or a combination of these, and draw it separately on their papers. So to start, we need to define these three things. First, you have rotation, which is spinning a figure on a fixed axis by some amount of degrees. And this can either be performed clockwise or counterclockwise. Then you have a reflection, which is just like how a mirror works. You reflect a figure based off of some axis and draw it on the opposite side of the axis with its reflection. And lastly, there's translation, which is also known as sliding. This is moving a figure vertically and or horizontally in a direction and applying certain moves to it. So to start, we'll work with rotations. Our first figure here, we have a triangle, and over here I have a mirror image of it. So a rotation would be spinning this figure clockwise or counterclockwise. So here I'll perform a clockwise rotation of 180 degrees, which flips the figure completely upside down. Here we have another triangle in which you can rotate counterclockwise 90 degrees, and that's how the figure will look with the rotation. Next, we have reflections. With this, I'm going to need to copy this figure. So notice how I've just slid the figure over to the other side, but it's not a true reflection based off of this axis. So what we need to do is we need to go over this figure and flip it. And now you have a true reflection based off of this axis. We can do the same thing with this figure. We'll move it over here, or to show what a vertical flip would be, this would be a reflection based off of the y-axis. And just show it one more time. Flipping this figure based off of this axis again is the same thing as making a 180 degree rotation. Alright. So lastly, we have translations. So the easiest way to show this is pick a point somewhere on the figure. I'm just going to group this one together. And I've chosen the point at -2, 1, which is one of the corners of the triangle. And we're going to move this figure let's say we move it 2 units to the right. 1, 2. And then 2 units down. 1, 2. So you can see the point that I've chosen has gone from -2, 1 to 0, -1. And this has moved the entire figure if you were to finish drawing the rest of the figure. So we can also move it over here, where our point is now at 6, 2, which was a translation of plus 8 to the right, and up 1. And just to show it one more time, we have another figure right here. Gonna ungroup these real quick and group these two. Alright, so we can show for this one, I'm gonna move it 3 down and 2 to the left. So you now have the new location of the new figure after it's been given a translation of 3 down and 2 to the left, where the point I've chosen is now at 3, -1. Alright, so lastly, I'm just going to give a quick review of all the rotation, translation, and rotation. Rotation, translation, and reflection on the grid axis. So I've already made my figure and grouped it together. So the first thing I'm going to do is show a rotation. Rotate this figure 90 degrees clockwise. And just so you can see it, I'll move it over here. Now I'm going to do another 90 degrees. So it's had a complete 180 degrees. Alright. Now that it's back, I'm going to show reflection about the y-axis. So first we need to take our figure and flip it. And since we're reflecting about the y-axis, this point makes a huge difference. So while flipping it has done the first reflection, reflecting it about this y-axis, the points have to mirror each other. So where this point is at -6, 1, this point is going to be at +6, 1, since we reflected it about the y-axis. And that would be its reflection. And then you also have its reflection about the x-axis. So it will reflect upside down like this. And across the x-axis, it would be at -6, -1. And lastly, you have your translations. I'm just going to make another figure again. By which you can move this figure anywhere on this plane by this fixed point. And just redraw the rest of the triangle. So here I've moved it across the x-axis by 6, 7, 11, 11 to the right, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down. And that's everything you need to know about translations, reflections, and rotations.